Salute, 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 salute. What's happening in the YouTube world, boxing community, what it is, what it do, what's happening. It's your man's Nocturnal Thought, man. Talking about boxing real quick. First of all, let me do this. Let me take my vitamins. I got some Mega Men vitamins. I got some, what is this right here? I got some fish oil, some turmeric, and glucosamine. Good for the joints. Take your vitamins, people. Take your vitamins. Wear your mask. Be safe. I shouldn't have to tell nobody this, but I hope wash your hands. I shouldn't have to tell nobody to wash their hands. Wash your hands and stay safe, stay blessed. You know what I'm saying? I had a person come up to me the other day, and he went on this rant, this tangent about how everything that's happening right now is this huge farce. It's huge conspiracy. Now, you know what I'm saying? I try not to decline and I try not to knock anybody's paradigm in life, because to each is his own. But the name of the game, the name of the game is protect yourself at all times. So let me use that to segue into today's boxing conversations. First of all, I was thinking about, you know, this long layoff, dealing with this pandemic. Hey, what you over there looking at, dude? You want a snack? Looking at this long layoff with this pandemic. I think it's good for Errol. I'm gonna jump right into it. It's good for Errol Spence Jr. You know what I'm saying? It was a blessing in disguise. The car accident was a blessing in disguise. He said so himself. It woke him up. You know what I'm saying? It rejuvenated his dedication and motivation to make sure he did everything he needed. He needed to take all the precautionary maneuvers to have some kind of security in his future of his children, and set things up and do things in a more design way that you don't throw caution to the wind. You know what I'm saying? It made him recalculate, recalibrate, and refocus, and hence and basically it made him put his guards back up and make sure he stayed nice and tight, instead of just loose with your hands down and going off of your reflexes, Roy Jones style in life. You know what I'm saying? Going out, partying, kicking it, hanging out, saying, you know, I'm cool. It made him go back like this and, you know what I'm saying, tighten back up. Tighten back up. Every once in a while, people have to tighten back up. And sometimes we got to understand that we might not notice when we got a few screws loose. You know what I'm saying? The squeaky oil gets the wheel. Sometimes it might take something to happen on a level close to catastrophic for us to step back and look at it and say, whoa, I didn't even know that was broke. I ignored that, or I procrastinated on that. Let me go and repair that. Let me go and tighten that up. Let me go and fix that. And let me look at what's going to happen 5 years from now to make sure this doesn't repeat itself. So that accident was a blessing in disguise. This COVID-19 pandemic, it's going to be the same for some people and not the same for other people. That's life. Sometimes you have, sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it's just in the nick of time to fix things, or, you know what I'm saying, there's silver linings and everything, but sometimes it might just be time for it to be I'm gonna put it like this. Danny Garcia, because of this pandemic, and every other boxer, but speaking of Danny Garcia versus Errol Spence, they both pretty much been on the shelf for the same amount of time now. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to say this real quick. If if it had not been for this pandemic and Errol Spence would have had this accident, if he would have got back into the ring, I would have felt like he would have needed a tune-up fight before he fought Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia would have managed to survive that fight. I think it still would have been a close fight either way. It would have been a close fight either way, but Danny Garcia would have been able to survive that fight. And most likely, the way boxing is, you know what I'm saying? The way boxing is, they would have said, okay, Errol Spence is damaged goods. We're going to go with Danny Garcia. Even if it was a close enough fight to say Errol Spence won the fight or edged the fight. You know what I'm saying? Or it was a draw. I think the boxing world, the corrupt boxing world, would have looked at it and said, you know what? That was a good fight. He's still good, but he's damaged goods. We don't know if he's ever going to be the same Errol Spence. Let's just give that one to Danny Garcia. Now that's hypothetical. I'm reaching a little bit, and I'm just kind of, you know what I'm saying, looking at, like I'm doing my Doctor Strange, where I'm sitting there looking at a million ways of how one outcome can turn about, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, that is the one way I'm looking at this pandemic, as Danny Garcia has been on the shelf. All the fighters have been on the shelf now, so we all going to have some ring rust. Because there's no doubt, as phenomenal as Errol Spence is, when he come back into the ring, he's going to have some kind of rust on him. Some kind of muscle memory that's going to be just waiting, that's going to be dormant. He's going to have some kind of muscle memory that's going to be dormant, that has to be reactivated. Because he's not, you know, there's still limitations to even the greatest phenom of genetics and, you know what I'm saying, being blessed and all these things as an athlete, and no matter how skilled you are, if you take enough time off, things have to lie dormant. They have to be reactivated. Now, and looking at from that accident, he had some time off. It makes me think of when my son, you know what I'm saying, last summer, he broke his tibular and his fibular, and he was down for about 4 or 5 months. He's back now 100%. But when he first was getting back on it, man, it was like, you know, his body had to recalibrate itself. It wasn't where he just, you know what I'm saying, came up out of the hospital doing layups and dunking. It was like he had to, you know what I'm saying, he had to sit around. His muscles start to shrink. He had to go through a rehab process. So there's no doubt, you know, Errol Spence had to go through a rehab process. And even, I don't even know now if he's still able to spar with without or with headgear, to where he can take punches to the head. You know, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm not going into the details of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm scraping the surface. What you talking about? I'm scraping the surface as far as, there's no doubt that Errol Spence, he's in great shape now. And I think he's ready now. But also, I think it's partially because he's had so much time past the time since the accident. Now with the pandemic, now he's had so much time to really get himself in the best shape possible. So I said all that to say this. Whenever you take a lot of time off and you come back, then you put yourself at risk. So that's why most people take these little tune-up fights, you know what I'm saying? Like a Keith Thurman when they take a tune-up fight against Jose Sixto Lopez when he first came back, right? So the fact that we have this pandemic that happened, and I know I'm kind of reiterating the same thing, but that's okay, you know what I'm saying? Let me work. Danny Garcia, you see him kind of put on some weight and been sitting around, and he's been sitting around and getting rusty too. So he's going to come back, and he's going to be going through a similar process as Errol Spence, if not even worse, because with Errol Spence, at least he had that wake-up call that activated that, you know what I'm saying, that extra motivation mentality that can't nobody explain when you have a life-altering experience. Like, you ever notice when anybody have a close to death experience, when they come back extraordinary. They come back with a whole, with wings. They come back with a whole new mentality and paradigm and almost a whole new essence. Like when you almost have a close to death type of situation, it almost seems like you get so close to God when you come back. You are superhuman almost. Like look at now. I don't know Kanye West now. Kanye West now is, you know, having a lot of mental issues. But think about Kanye West right after his accident and when he dropped, you know what I'm saying, through the wire. How he was on fire, unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. After he came back with his jaw wired shut, it was like something in him that just could not be stopped. A lot of people didn't even know who Kanye West was until after the accident. And when he came back with a different mentality. I see that happen time and time again with a lot of people that leave their mark on this earth. A lot of them go through something that's either so traumatizing or something close to death, and when they come back new, improved, rejuvenated, 10 times stronger. And you know what I'm saying, they have that story to tell. Like, man, like Terrence Bud Crawford, I got shot. When I got shot and that bullet grazed me, man, my life flashed, and from that point on, it just made me a different person. It made what's that one little kid's name? Um, I was looking into him just the other day. The dude with the cross eyes. I'm not gonna be able to think of his name right off the top now. He a little dude, cross-eyed, little stocky dude. Him and Gervonta Tank Davis used to get into a few little verbal disputes, but he had got shot in the hand. You know what I'm saying? He tore his bicep. Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer tore his bicep, got shot in the hand, and all of that motivated him. You dig what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with life and with this COVID. This COVID is going to catapult some people into hyperdrive of being successful, and it's going to do the opposite for some people, right? And Danny Garcia, no disrespect, I haven't seen a lot from Danny Garcia, but I think, man, if we get this fight to go down, I think Errol Spence is going to. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna make a fight prediction. I'm not gonna make a fight prediction. I'm not here to make a fight prediction. I'm here to talk about boxing. I'm here to talk about life. I'm here to talk about like destiny. You know what I'm saying? Like destiny of things. Like sometimes we ask for something and we think we want it. We don't know because we don't know the path we putting ourselves on. Are we putting ourselves on a path of destruction or a path of success? Like going back to Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. calling out Leo Santa Cruz. We all say Leo Santa Cruz should have took that fight. You know, Gary Russell went up there and put his arms around, you know what I'm saying, Leo Santa Cruz father, and just think if Leo Santa Cruz would have took that fight, what course would they have put him on? Because I don't even know if we would be talking about Leo Santa Cruz versus Gervonta Tank Davis right now if Leo Santa Cruz would have fought Gary Russell Jr. With that being said, last night I watched Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton, Uno and Dos. Part 1, or should I say Uno, the first fight. It was a good fight. That was a barn-burning fight, man. Leo Santa Cruz is a pleasure to watch in the ring. I like to watch him display his gifts and his talent. I do like his fighting style, and I do like his personality. There's nothing not to like about Leo Santa Cruz from what I see. You dig what I'm saying? And the jackal, Carl Frampton, he is a little jackal. You know what I'm saying? He's, to me, a different variation of a Gervonta Tank Davis. If you was to take Gervonta Tank Davis, make him smaller, make him less powerful, and make him a little less explosive. You see what I'm saying? But he's a good fighter nevertheless. kind of like a throwback to Ricky Hatton. And the first fight was a barn burner, and it went to the Irishman, the Jackal, called Frampton. And I watched that fight, and I said to myself, I gave that fight to Leo Santa Cruz. That fight. Now, I seen one judge gave it a draw, 114-114. Then it was a majority decision, 116, 112, and then 117, 111, if my memory serves me correctly, right? And I'm looking at that and I'm saying, you know, that was a good fight. You could go either way. I was leaning closer to Leo Santa Cruz, but you know, when you watch a fight, you can watch a fight 50 times and see 50 different variations. It's hard to just focus in and pick up all the ebbs and flows, backs and forths, bobs and weaves, punch for punch on your first time watching the fight. I like to go back and watch them and watch them and watch them. But I not seen Leo Santa Cruz did allow for Carl Frampton to collapse the pocket. He wanted to be a brawl, and he didn't. It wasn't boxing. It was brawling, and Leo Santa Cruz was coming in and slugging it out, and sometimes he was letting himself get caught on the way in. So that speaks to the second fight, where I did see Leo Santa Cruz make that adjustment, be more calculated, use an educated jab, keep his distance, use his range. He never let it turn into a brawl. He kept it boxing. And in the second fight, he made it more decisive, definite. He made it more definite, or should I say, he made it more finite and defined his victory in the second part. Second fight was a little less entertaining. Both fighters had their moment. Both fighters looked like they were playing it a little bit safe, but Leo Santa Cruz had a lot more ring generalship and dominance over taking the second fight, taking the victory. So I salute that. But at the same time, whenever I would look at when Leo Santa Cruz in the first and second fight would get hit, would make mistakes, and Carl Frampton would capitalize off those mistakes. Whenever I saw that, in my mind, if I was to cropped out Carl Frampton, the Jackal, and paste in Gervonta, the one Tank Davis, if I was to put him in that situation, it changes the whole trajectory, the whole dynamic of the fight. The first fight and the second fight. The first fight especially, because Leo Santa Cruz threw caution to the wind and went in there and wanted to, you know what I'm saying, hit him everywhere except below the feet. If he does that with Gervonta Tank Davis, it confirms my first prediction of a 6 to 9 round knockout, because I don't see him taking those punches from Tank Davis the way he was taking those punches from Carl Frampton. Let me digress. Another thing I wanted to say with Gary Russell Jr. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.